I've mentioned it before. I don't know if I've mentioned it in a video, but I've definitely mentioned it on Discord, that I'm a big fan of keywords. Keywords are great. They're a very broadly applicable type of mechanic that helps to bridge the gap between what is narrative and what is mechanical. There are lots and lots and lots of ways to use keywords. Keywords make life easier, both for GMs and for players, and for game designers, especially for game designers, I think. Keywords are a great way to anchor an idea to a game mechanic or a game option, some sort of game element, and connect that to other parts of the game in meaningful and intuitive ways. Let me give an example. You have a great use of keywords is, of course, in D&D 4th edition, where any kind of power that does X effect is going to have a keyword that tells you it does that kind of effect. So any power that teleports something has the teleportation keyword. Any power that restores hit points has the healing keyword, etc. These keywords don't do anything on their own, but they ascribe to the power, like indicators. So not only do they tell you what the power is going to do, but they also allow that power to interact with feats and class abilities. So for example, healing powers on the cleric. The cleric has the ability has a class feature that triggers whenever they use a healing power, and it increases the effectiveness of that healing. Without that healing keyword, you would have to phrase the healing ability in a very particular way, and you would have to use more words. You'd have to be more verbose, rather than just have the healing power on every power that heals, or the healing keyword on every power that heals, and then refer to it like when you use a power with the healing keyword, as opposed to when you use a power that restores hit points to a creature. That's more verbose. And then you also have to account for things like, abilities that maybe cause someone to regenerate, which is not a healing power. Well, it might be a healing power. It might be. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they counted regeneration as healing. They might. But that is not a power that is restoring hit points. Or is it? So there's that tricky sort of gray area that you would have to sort of account for and to define as a designer. It just makes things messier to not use keywords. 5th edition uses very few keywords, if any. I'm trying to think if there's actually any keywords. You could consider Schools of Magic like a keyword, kinda, but it only matters for one class. Yeah, I don't think there's any keywords, any like real keywords in 5th edition. Lancer famously uses keywords really well. I've been thinking about how to use keywords in Code World, and probably using them to tie environmental elements and effects to rules and abilities. So, for example, what I'm thinking of is you'd have like an obstacle in the scene that you don't necessarily have to overcome in order to defeat the scene or to get through the scene or whatever it is that you accomplish your goal. But it would make things easier because it is obstructing you in some way. It is making things more difficult as long as it exists. And it would have a number of keywords, such as like, armored or fortified or something like that, if it's like a bunker. Dangerous, if it's maybe something that's going to be actively attacking you. These keywords wouldn't have any explicit rules associated with them, but they do interact with abilities, both player abilities and NPC abilities that might also be present on the scene. And they also sort of give this indicator to the GM and to the players of what sorts of things that environmental element might be capable of. A wall or a bunker or a locked door or something like that probably isn't going to be dealing damage to a player. It's probably not going to be hurting them. It's just going to be impeding progress. Whereas a dangerous enemy or a dangerous element, such as an enemy, probably, might, because they're going to be like shooting back at you or, moving in and actually trying to actively harm the players. So keywords both have mechanical significance, and also, if you choose your keywords well, they can communicate to the players and the GM what that element, that game element, is supposed to be doing. I'm a huge fan of keywords. I think they're woefully underused outside of the sort of like heavy, tactical, crunchy kind of games like D&D 4th edition or Lancer or Pathfinder also uses, Pathfinder 2nd edition uses tons and tons of keywords, arguably too many. They use a lot of keywords. Oh my gosh. And their keywords sometimes have rules associated with them and sometimes don't, just like 4th edition. 4th edition does have some keywords with rules, and but the majority don't. I think it's probably it's a more elegant design to have all keywords have no inherent rules, and that they're only there to be referred to by other elements. This sort of allows you to accomplish the sorts of things that I talk about in my video on named interactions, where like some effects can only be addressed by certain specific abilities, and if you just don't have those abilities, you're out of luck. Keywords are a great way to address the kinds of situations where like this is a difficult thing to get rid of. You need specific tools to get rid of it, but we don't want to name one spell and say you have to have that spell or you're screwed. You can say like, this is a curse. Anything that deals with curses, you just use the curse keyword, and anything that deals with curses can apply to that. Maybe low-level abilities might say, make a roll, spend some resources to remove this curse. Higher-level abilities say, you can just remove a curse, no roll needed. However it is that your game is designed. The gist is that you would use a keyword on the thing that you would normally be referring to a specific named element. Instead of referring to a specific named element, you just use that keyword, and then other abilities can apply to that, which also means, in addition to making the game just appear more elegant and well planned out, it also means that more than one class can have, obviously shared spells are a thing in 5th edition, but like you don't have to be a spellcaster to be able to remove curse. Maybe you have a barbarian ability that can remove curses on yourself or other, or like you can take a curse from someone else and put it on yourself and then try to remove it. That kind of thing, It's so much harder to do that without keywords. It's almost impossible to do that without keywords or paragraphs and paragraphs of text. And the more text you have in any given ability or feature or spell or game element, which is a term I'm using a lot in this video, because I'm trying to be general. The more text you have, the harder it is for players to immediately grok what you're talking about, and also to integrate that and apply it mid-game. Because like obviously some people are going to be able to read through paragraphs and paragraphs of text, kind of memorize and categorize it all, and apply that live during play. Some people can do that. As a general thing, I can do that. Do I want to? Not necessarily. Like, I kind of like a more casual approach to RPGs. I like rules-light systems. But not everyone can do that. Not everyone, A, has the time, B, has the attention span, or C, has the inclination, And so to broaden the types of players that your game is able to appeal to, using keywords is a fantastic way to cut down on that text. Use general rules, general game mechanics that refer to keywords, and that will make your game more approachable. It's actually really shocking how 5th edition has this reputation for being highly approachable, and doesn't use keywords. Keywords are maybe the best type of mechanic for making your game easy to approach, easy to understand, easy to wrap your head around. A lot of that comes down to the fact that 5th edition has this reputation where you don't even need to know the rules. You don't need to interface with rules or mechanics at all to play. You just roll the die and ask the DM what happens. Which I guess, that's a way you could do it if you want. But I think a better way to have people play your game is to have them play your game, right? So I like I like game mechanics that are meant to be interacted with. I always approach game design from the perspective that everyone who plays the game is going to be interfacing with the rules to roughly the same extent. And so I design my rules accordingly. And I got into a conversation recently about keywords and their potential uses in game design. And so I just wanted to make this video to talk about how much I think keywords are great. I think they're just a fantastic rule category, because there's lots of different ways to use keywords. Just like little tags, little descriptions, usually one word that you assign to a game element, and it opens up all kinds of mechanical possibilities for referring to that element and elements of its kind. And if you do so wisely, you will dramatically increase the depth of your game without increasing the complexity. And that really is like the goal. That's the dream, is to have a game that is not mechanically complex, but it is deep. And keywords are just maybe the best possible way to accomplish that. I love keywords.